Good morning. It's Wednesday, September 17th, 2014. I'm Steve Miller, and this is the Asia Brief. Typhoon Kalmaegi made landfall in China after battering Hong Kong, forcing cancellation of flights, the stock exchange, and coastal ports. Gusts measuring up to 159 kilometers per hour are said to have injured 29 individuals. As the storm moved towards Hainan, 90,000 residents were evacuated from its coastal areas. The China Meteorological Administration had an orange alert in place, the second most severe in the nation's four-tier weather warning system. The storm will continue throughout the day in mainland China. Hong Kong residents also continue to oppose Beijing's plan to handpick candidates for the Special Administrative Region. Residents are calling for true universal suffrage, the right to elect their own candidates and vote in open elections. Hong Kong residents feel China's plan would stack the ballot with pro-Beijing candidates and not reflect the constituency of Hong Kong. Macau, China's other special administrative region, has remained apolitical, instead focusing on developing the world's largest gambling hub. However, that may change. Emily Lau, chairwoman of Hong Kong's Democratic Party, spoke about Macau's parallel calls for open and direct elections of their chief executive. Quote, "Whether we act separately or together, I hope the movement for democracy will surge forward and will not be held back." End quote. On August 31st, Fernando Chui was re-elected as Macau's chief executive. He was elected by a 400-person committee that is largely pro-Beijing. 89% of about 9,000 people in Macau who participated in a referendum said they do not trust him as their leader. 95% said they prefer if the territory holds direct elections. How China responds to both these issues bears scrutiny. Taiwan and China have completed the first round of trade talks aimed at cutting import tariffs on many goods. Despite political worries in Taiwan about the risks of strengthening ties with Beijing, many say the country's businesses could lose out if talks drag on. The two nations signed a service trade pact in June of 2013, but Taiwan's lawmakers still have not ratified it. Their reluctance is partly in response to the outpouring of opposition earlier this year by protesters who say the service trade pact will hurt the island's economy and make it more vulnerable to pressure from Beijing. Many say the time is now to bridge any gaps as China and South Korea strengthen trade ties, a move that could leave Taiwan out in the cold. Liu Yijun, a public affairs professor at Fujian University, says, "Right now Taiwan is kind of deeply worried. The kind of competition between South Korea and Taiwan is rather intense. As long as South Korea is getting ahead, that really worries the leaders here. Mainland China just wants to show more friendly gestures and try to have more influence on the election." Residents in an 8-kilometer radius around the Philippines' near-perfect cone-shaped Mayon volcano were told to evacuate yesterday. In all, there are up to 50,000 people in the volcano's danger zone, and authorities believe most will be evacuated to a safe distance within 3 days. The volcano is showing signs of increased activity and may erupt. 4 foreign tourists and their local guide were killed when the Mayon volcano erupted in May 2013. Unfortunately, they foolishly ignored government warnings and were climbing the volcano during the eruption. Coming up later today at 12:01 p.m. Seoul, Tokyo time is Asia Now, and today we address how to address homesickness as an expat. Thank you very much for joining me today. Follow the Asia Now Twitter and Facebook feeds for more news throughout the day. The Asia Brief is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License.